issue noong nakaarang hearing, itong 47 billion pesos, according to the last hearing, the 47 billion pesos that was transferred to PSDBM has not been fully liquidated. My question, Madam Chair, is where is that 1 billion pesos that was unliquidated? DOH. May we ask the question to DOH po?
Yusek Bravo, please respond.
Based on our data, 1.197586 billion was undelivered, and then the 363 million unrecorded due to the lack of documents, and 41 million is ongoing delivery, and 11.8 million is for reconsideration.
Madam Chair, are these undocumented and lacking documents, where do you think is the source of this problem? Is it from the side of DOH or from the side of PSDBM?
Madam Chair, can we ask Director Dennis from PS to answer this one on the unreconciled documents?
Attorney Dennis Santiago, will you be willing to answer?
Good morning, Madam Chair, and to the members of the committee. Regarding po the liquidation of funds, we have liquidated in full around 45 billion pesos po to DOH, and we have records for this showing that these funds are liquidated po. Sorry.
So kulang po, Madam Chair, kasi on our records, 47 billion ang kailangan natin i-account. But on you said you have fully liquidated 45 billion. Hindi po maliit na pera, 2 billion pesos. So, nasaan po ito?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yung pong 45 billion liquidated po, meron pa ho kasing projects po na they were subjected to COA audit po sa level po ng COA Central po. So yung pong funds po na yun na around 2 billion, yun po ang subject to full liquidation.
With all due respect, sir, this happened 2020. It's already 2024. Parating na po yung panibago nating budget hearing. So, 4 na budget hearing na po ang nag-lapse. 4 na taon na po yan. Medyo, I think we have to think about how can we expedite this, and maybe through our legislative process, we can do this, no? Para po sa PSDBM, because nga po, ganun katagal, ano po ba yung naging proseso nitong transfer of funds? Kasi based on the previous hearing, may agency procurement request form. So, at the time po ba nung nasa procurement request form nyo, nasa stock nyo na po ba yung mga listahan na yon?
Sir, at that time po, those equipment po, tools and goods po, are yet to be procured po.
So, ibig sabihin po, yung funds na binigay ng DOH, yun yung gagamitin nyo para bilhin itong mga ni-request nila.
Opo, para po bilhin ho yung personal protective equipment, mask, gloves. Opo.
Okay. So, aside from the testing kits, did we procure other items with this 47 billion that were transferred to PSDBM?
Yes po, as I mentioned po, maliban po sa test kits, meron pa hong PPEs.
Narinig ko sa opening statement ni Madam Chair, nag-request na po ng list si Congresswoman Castro? Oo. So, Comsec, did we already have that list?
I actually received just today as part of my request, the breakdown. So I can, it's the breakdown of what were procured. And specifically on the test kits, hindi lang siya kumpleto, kaya lang wala yung summary. So maybe the DOH can give us a summary on this. Yusek Bravo?
We have the breakdown of the 47 billion funds transferred to PS. We'll give you a copy of this one. The transfer funds from DOH to PS amounted to 47 billion 650 million 668. The breakdown of which is that Bayanihan, the particulars, General Amplified TM Viral and RNA, face and shield and surgical mask amounting to 158 million, cadaver bag 13 million, automated nucleic acid extraction is around 42 million, RT-PCR 1.9 billion, Amplify is 8.7 million, surgical mask 2.3 million, COVID testing kits and consumables 4.1 billion, mechanical ventilator 1.3 billion, PPE laboratory equipment is 30.7 billion, various test kits 2.5 billion, PPE 1.8 billion pesos, cloth mask 75 million, head cover, cloth mask, gown and coverall 2.6 billion, and the N95 mask, which is around 2 billion also.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sir, sa listahan niyo po bang yan, nandiyan po ba yung unit cost and quantity ng per item?
Unfortunately, Madam Chair, we don't have. What we have here is the particulars, transferred funds, liquidation, and the balance, which is the one, as earlier, the 1.5 billion. But we can get the copy of the
Yes, please,
itemized.
sir. Madam Chair, may I request from their good office na makapag-furnish po sila ng listahan, breakdown ng lahat ng items with the unit cost, quantity, and yung amount.
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
So for the DOH, I believe the question also of Congresswoman Stella Kimbo before was similar, and also Franz Castro. Not only the total amount, but the unit cost of each, with focus on the total quantity procured and the unit cost of each item. So that ba ay napunta sa tama o yung inutang ba na approximately 190 billion ay ginamit sa mga overpriced medical equipments and communities. I think that is what ang probinsyano representative is pointing out. So we get that, Kong.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, what we have here is the summary, but we will give you a copy of the details of this summary.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
but you have the unit cost.
Yes,
Baka
ma'am.
may staff ka dyan na ipalagay mo ng unit cost so that you can give the...
We will do that, ma'am.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, on the note of list, can we ask PSDBM, do we have a list of documents na where NGAs, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government agencies who received the supplies that were procured by the PSDBM using this 47 billion?
Sir, insofar as the deliveries are concerned, they are all delivered to DOH. For distribution po, it's DOH that distributed it po.
So solely si DOH lang ang meron nun?
For purpose of the distribution po. But we will check our records, sir, if we have
Yeah.
specific
Can you please do
agencies
so?
po.
Because I would like to request, Madam Chair, PSDBM, to provide us with a list of or documentation of all NGAs, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government entities who have received these items.
Including private hospitals
Yes, Madam Chair.
and LGUs. Yeah. Just
And
for the
LGUs.
information of our August body, Attorney Denny Santiago used to be the head of GPPB and is very familiar with all these circulars I actually call him a procurement expert. But he's quite new to PSDBM. So, Attorney Dennis, do we still have employees or officers in PSDBM now who were with PSDBM during the time that Secretary Duque allowed this transfer?
We still have, Madam Chair, a few of them in PSDBM po, but majority po are no longer connected with PSDBM po.
And so maybe the Secretariat can be requested to get the names of the PSDBM officials involved so that they will be here to answer.
We will prepare, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. And with due courtesy to Congressman Apid, ang Provinciano Party List, who initiated the request? Sino po ang naging susi para yung mga test kits, medical equipments, yung mga highly technical and specialized public health commodities ay ginawang common use supply? Ginawang parang ballpen, papel, envelope at folder. Who is this responsible public official or officials who paved way for the conversion of all these technical equipments and supplies to common use?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm looking at the record, as you mentioned, Madam Chair. I joined PSDBM only in 2022 July. No? So nung nangyayari po itong mga to, I'm not yet the executive director at that time. But I'm looking at the GPPB resolution po, Madam Chair. There's no specificity po on the GPPB reso on who is the government official that requested, but it pertains to a request coming from the Department of Health, Madam Chair. So, and then the board approved
Walang
po a
attached
list.
copy ng request.
I just have a copy of the resolution,
GPPB
Madam
resolution,
Chair.
yeah.
Apo, the-
Secretary Duque, who requested PSDBM?
I did, Your Honor, based on the list that was submitted to me.
So do you have a copy of the letter request of DOH? Can you submit that to this August body?
we will do, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, with what Director is saying na noong 2022 pa lang siya nakapasok, so baka pwedeng yung team nung PSDBM nung 2020 natin i-request yung list ng mga agencies involved. Sir, can you please do that?
We will provide, sir, Madam Chair, as mentioned earlier po, yung list po ng staff po ng PSDBM
Thank you.
who did it, who did the procurement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that we need these documents to see how big the transactions are. So we can also do something in Congress. You know, this is not small money. Napakalaking pera nito na for 4 years pa natin kailangan i-account. Napakahaba ng proseso at maraming mga prosesong medyo kailangan ayusin. So this can also help us audit this if totoong nga ba itong mga ito. With this, I would like to manifest my support for this hearing and shed light to this matter. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Kong Apid. Yusek Bravo, and after that, maybe we can request Attorney Dennis Santiago, the current head of PSDBM, to probably give us a summary of the agency's observations as to the suppliers of the 47.6 billion transfer of DOH. Yusek Bravo.
Madam Chair, Honorable Congressman, we have the summary of the 47 billion and the breakdown. We have the quantity, unit cost, and the ABC and the funding source. And user will give you a copy of this one.
Madam Chair, can we request our offices to be furnished with this said documents?
ComSec is hereby directed. Maybe you can photo, it's just one page, 1 or 2 pages. We can have that photocopied so that the members of the August body can be given a copy.
We have 6 copies, Madam,
Yeah.
including the summary.
Yeah.
6 pages.
Yeah, you can focus on the summary.
Okay.
It's okay. Please submit, please provide the members of the House a copy. Just for the information of this August body, we have been extending invitations to the former officials of PSDBM, Attorney Lloyd Christopher Lau, former OIC Executive Director, Ms. Ami De La Cruz, former OIC Chief Accountant, Attorney Jason Mer Uwayan, former OIC Executive Director, Attorney Irvin J. Alparaque, former OIC Director, Procurement Group, Ms. Jerilyn Vergara, former Deputy Chief, Procurement Division 6, Mr. Dixon Panti, former Chairperson, Bids and Awards Committee. The Bids and Awards Committee has relevant information on the DOH fund transfer to PSDBM. The Marketing and Sales Division has relevant information to the DOH fund transfer. Unfortunately, all of them has repeatedly refused to attend this hearing, except, of course, for Attorney Dennis Santiago. He is now cleaning up all this mess. We will submit it to the August body on your decision later in the course of this hearing as to what will be the contention for the non-appearing PSDBM officials. Attorney Dennis Santiago, in a nutshell, can you orient this August body with regards to your observations as to the companies who were awarded contracts by PSDBM with regards to the 47.6 billion DOH fund transfer?
Madam Chair, per the records, I have to go through or sift through all those documents, Madam Chair. But say, for example, the question of whether they were procured through emergency procurement under the Bayanihan, emergency procurement by way of RA 9184. This is one observation I have po. No? Some of the procurement of goods were done through emergency procurement under RA 9184. Some were done under the Bayanihan law po. No? And then, of course, as mentioned po, marami pong items na procure. And then, there were selection processes conducted po, despite the fact na emergency procurement po yung sinabi. For example, PSDBM would still conduct some sort of canvassing from different suppliers during that time. So, and then end up or come up with an award of a contract na po.
Madam Chair, can I just ask a question in relation to what you were saying?
Please proceed.
Okay. Attorney Santiago or Undersecretary Bravo, have you done any investigation on this matter?
Thank you, sir. When I came po, when I got into the office, there are existing audits na po that are being conducted. I myself, for purposes of one project, submitted the matter to the National Bureau of Investigation po for to conduct the investigation on this. There are also cases or filed before the Ombudsman for this po.
Can we ask COA about it, Madam Chair? There's any COA representative here?
Any representative from COA who can answer the query of the Honorable Abante?
Madam Chair, good morning. I am Attorney Patrick Teves from the Fraud Audit Office of the Commission on Audit. As to the COVID-19 related expenditures, Madam Chair, the Honorable COA Chairperson Cordova has issued office orders number 2021-595. This was dated September 24, 2021. The audit focused on the funds received by the Philippine Red Cross from PhilHealth from April 2020 to September 2021, pursuant to the PhilHealth PRC Memorandum of Agreement dated April 2020. And another office order was issued under COA Office Order number 2021-596, dated September 24, 2021. This, the fraud audit investigation on the alleged irregularities of the payments, to Pharmaly Pharmaceutical Corporation by the Department of Health through the procurement service of the Department of Budget and Management, Your Honor.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
one last question. No? Perhaps you could be able to provide us a copy of the investigation you gave. Okay.
Madam Chair, as to the fraud audit investigation regarding the PhilHealth PRC, it is still undergoing report writing in the meantime, and it is still under confidential. While the fraud audit investigation related to the PSDBM, we have already submitted our fraud audit report, and we have the special audit team here, if I may, Your Honor.
Now, what is the current situation now, Attorney Santos, on the charges that you have made? Attorney Santiago.
There are administrative and criminal cases po filed by the ombudsman, but there are because we are copy furnished with some records po, there are requests for reconsideration of the decision of the ombudsman, but there are criminal cases po and administrative cases filed against po the individual that are involved na po in the procurement. Ano po. So for the administrative case po, there's one resolved already by the ombudsman where two of our PSDBM staffs were already dismissed, but some of them are no longer in PSDBM, so it can no longer be implemented po. So for the criminal cases, there is still some request for reconsideration on this matter po.
So we have the members of the Commission and Audit Fraud Report. In a nutshell, can you give us your findings?
Madam Chair and honorable members of this committee, I am Attorney Rahabansa Dagalangit, the team supervisor of the special audit team created to audit the payments to family by the DOH to the PSDBM. Just to put into context, since this is the first time that we are attending this committee hearing, the special audit was created in line with the investigation conducted by the Committee on Good Governance and Public Accountability of the House of Rep and the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, in line with the findings observed by the DOH audit team on the fund transfers without MOA. So the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee requested the Commission to conduct a special audit investigation. And as following the discussion of my colleague, the result of the audit was already transmitted to DOH, to the PSDBM, to the Office of the Ombudsman, to the House of Rep, and to the Senate President. Today, we just submitted a copy of our fourth audit report covering the PSDBM and that of the Department of Health. I think the Madam Chair have a good summary of our findings in her opening statements. Thank you, Your Honor. If you would like to make a summary for us, for the special audit team, for the DOH, there are four main findings, and for the PSDBM, there are 10 findings observed by the special audit team.
Can you proceed with the summary findings again?
May I be allowed to look into the fraud audit report as I discussed the summary of the findings?
Yes, you are.
For the Department of Health, the first finding that we noted is that the Department of Health delegated its duties and responsibilities on the procurement of personal protective equipment and medical supplies to PSDBM. First, by requesting the GPPB to classify the PPEs, test kits, and other medical supplies as is, and then transferring an aggregate amount of 47.651 billion without a MOA, setting the terms of reference between the parties that should include, among others, the technical specifications or quality standards of the items to be procured, delivery schedules, and remedies in case of default. Consequently, the PSDBM procured the items based on its own parameters and facing that resulted in lapses and irregularities in the procurement. Second finding, the DOH failed to provide PSDBM complete technical specifications and other relevant standards requirement on COVID-19 items in the agency procurement request or the APRs as well as through communication. Thirdly, the DOH did not appropriately exercise administrative control in ensuring availability of PPEs and medical supplies. It failed to effectively coordinate with PSDBM on the timelines and delivery schedules prior to the procurement through PSDBM. DOH also failed to monitor compliance with the delivery schedules set by PSDBM and or formally and to immediately act on any request for extension. Furthermore, DOH did not consider any countermeasures or legal remedies in the event of the procurement made through the PSDBM incurred several delays and repeated postponements, extension in deliveries, as is in this case, which is prejudicial to the government. The above circumstances are contrary to the objective stated in the GPB Circular Number 01-2020, dated April 6, 2020, which provides for the guidelines for emergency procurement, and the Republic Act Number 11469, or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, and Republic Act Number 11494, or otherwise known as Bayanihan Recover as One Act. And lastly, for the DOH, it did not exert effort in monitoring the liquidation of the fund transfers to PSDBM in the total amount of 38 billion and 8.8 billion that have validity period until June 30, 2021 and December 30, 2021 pursuant to RA number 1159 and 11520 respectively. That is for the DOH, Your Honor.
For PSDBM,
For the PSDBM, we have, as mentioned, we have 10 major findings. Firstly, the PSDBM Price Monitoring Team Procurement Office either had failed or had been inconsistent in observing the conduct of preliminary price scanning or preliminary market survey, particularly on determining reasonable unit prices, determining the period of availability and capability of the supplier to provide the required quantity, requesting quotations or canvas from authorized distributors, importers, and declaring business establishment as complying or non-complying. Deviations from the GPPB Circular Number 01-2020 dated April 6, 2020 and PSDBM detailed process flowchart in the procurement of COVID-19 response item and per instructions in the memorandum dated April 12 of the former DBM Undersecretary give formally advantage and preference over the prospective suppliers in the award of 13 contracts with an aggregate amount of 11 billion 113,523,256 pesos. On finding number 2, we noted that the PSDBM had not thoroughly implemented and complied with its own criteria in the selection of suppliers with sufficient stocks on hand and capable to deliver the required quantity. Consequently, Pharmaly was awarded 3 contracts for the procurement of surgical masks and surgical gowns amounting to 287,860,000 and 2,880,000. This resulted in delayed or partial delivery of procured items, which is not aligned with the objective of Section 4, Item K of Republic Act Number 11469 to undertake the procurement in the most expeditious manner. Thirdly, PSDBM awarded contracts to Pharmaly despite its failure to submit and present evidence or proof of compliance with the appropriate technical requirements or specification in violation of item 3.4B of GPPB Circular Number 01 2020 and Section 53 of RA 9184. On finding number 4, we observed that the PSDBM did not include the shelf-life requirements in the technical specification of KN95 mask, PPE sheets, and surgical gowns. PSDBM accepted deliveries of nearly expiring RT-PCR test kits, extraction kits from family, and the inspection team did not report the expiration dates or remaining shelf life of delivered COVID-19 items. On finding 5, the PSDBM pursued its procurement negotiations with family for the COVID-19 response of the government despite its apparent lack of financial and technical capacity, as evidenced by paid-up capital of only 625,000. Its ITR disclosed zero sales revenue, while its cash and cash equivalent amounted to 599,450 and 32 centavos only. It has no track record in undertaking high-value procurement. It was barely 7 months in operation at the time of the procurement transactions, and its submission of unduly stamped received annual ITR for calendar year 2019, which is not in accordance with the BIR regulation. On finding number 6, we have noted that the family deviated from the schedule of requirements stated in the POs either by making advance, excessive, or incomplete delivery, or by not complying with the place, site of deliveries. Further, the delivered items were not compliant with the technical specification, particularly pertaining to the physical features, brand names, and labeling packaging requirements. On finding number 7, we observed that the PSDBM granted families several requests for extension without reasonable justification, which defeats the very purpose of emergency procurement under the GPPB Circular Number 01-2020. Moreover, the PSDBM failure to assert its contractual right to impose liquidated damages against family for the delays incurred in the delivery of COVID-19 items resulted in the pecuniary loss to the government. On finding number 8, the PSDBM have not secured the most advantageous prices for the government in relation to the procurement of COVID-19 supplies from family as the consequence of its failure to directly negotiate and procure from the manufacturers of test kits overseas, contrary to an instruction of Item 1 Statement of Policy of LOI number 755, Section 2 PD number and Section 2 PD number 1445, third paragraph, Section 8, Rule 6 of the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards of Public Officials, and Item 5 of GPPB Circular 01-2020. The last two, on finding number 9, we noted that the PSDBM failed to refund and liquidate the total amount of 47.65 billion constituting the DOH fund transfers as of June 30 and December 31, 2021, where a total amount of 1,676,712,240 pesos procurement family were unused, unutilized, unexpended, and undisbursed in violation of RA number 11519 and 11520. Last finding, the PSDBM received a total amount of 47.651 billion fund transfers from DOH for the calendar years 2020 and 2021 through an APR or the agency procurement request without proper documentation relative to the scope of works and terms of reference between the parties, which is not in accordance with the COA Circular Number 94-013, Section 3.1.1 of COA Circular Number 2012-001 as amended, and Section 63, Chapter 6, Volume 1 of GAMFO NGAS. That is all, Your Honors.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair.
do we have representatives of the Ombudsman here in the family?
During the previous meeting, it was actually proposed by the former Secretary of Justice to invite the Office of the Ombudsman and the Prosecutor General. May we know from the Secretariat if an invitation has been sent to any representative from the Office of the Ombudsman? The Secretariat invited Attorney Warren Rex Leong, former overall Deputy Ombudsman, who was in charge of the fund transfer from DOH to PSDBM. I believe he's also one of the accused. So the COMSEC is hereby directed for the next hearing to invite a representative from the Office of the Ombudsman so that they can shed light on situations like this, or possibly it will be under their discretion to have a motu proprio investigation.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion, and also that we should invite some family executives on this.
May we request the Honorable Congressman Abante to reiterate and formalize the motion?
I'd like to move, Madam Chair, that we invite the Ombudsman to be here in the next hearing, and also the former executives that are involved in this fiasco in this hearing.
Madam Chair.
Second. Mr. Chair.
Madam Chair.
There's a motion duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, said motion is approved. The COMSEC, the Secretariat, is hereby directed to invite a representative from the Office of the Ombudsman and to likewise send invitation to representatives of family.
Madam Chair, may I ask, in relation to the motion made earlier by Congressman Abante, did we send invitation to the representative from the Ombudsman? Did we, last meeting, did we send an invitation?
The Secretariat did send an invitation, but it was addressed to Attorney Warren Rex Leong. He's also one of those accused.
But he's not around today, right, Madam Chair? So did we receive the reply from him stating his absence?
No reply.
Madam Chair, I don't know if the committee would like to entertain what we do, Madam